Oh. Late, no need $2. Why you late again? I was just fucked up. Needed some extra rest. Think I've been dieting too hard and training too hard, and I just got fucked up from yesterday, and I just needed some extra sleep, and I also ate more today. Had some like extra rice and shit. Thanks for the donation though, late. Let's see some of the shit that's going on.
From the Asgard Company studio.
Pretty diabolical start time. Are you gonna stream till 6 a.m. or some shit?
I'm not sure. Oh, we'll see. Thanks for the donation, nigga.
In beautiful voice in the strength and conditioning profession, the most important. Welcome back to Starting Strength Radio. We're glad to have you with us again on the podcast, and we're also very, very happy that Dr. Mike Whitmer has decided to join us today. Dr. Whitmer runs a clinic in St. Louis, and over the past couple of weeks, it has come to our attention that the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, has decided to revisit their rules on telemedicine. Now, this is a terribly important subject. The DEA does not operate under what you would call statutes. They do not issue statutes. They are not the Congress. They do not pass laws. They merely issue regulations, which are, for all intents and purposes, laws. They're not elected. No one has given them any of the power to do this, but over the past 40 or 50 years, this bureaucracy has grown to the point where an agency like that is essentially operating any way they want to. And this revisitation of the telemedicine regulations poses some interesting questions for testosterone replacement therapy. And we're going to talk to Mike about that today. Mike, thank you again for being with us.
My pleasure.
So tell us exactly what the hell is going on here.
That's a big ask. I can tell you what I think.
All right.
I don't know. You want me to go towards the beginning?
What the fuck? You said you would be ready hours ago after you had a big meal. What the hell happened since then?
I fell asleep. I fell asleep because I just needed some extra sleep. My apologies, Dodo. Thanks for the donation, though, dude.
Beginning of where all this started with this regulation?
Sure do.
This really came on after the 1988 Olympics when a Canadian beat a United States track and field athlete named Carl Lewis.
That's when Ben Johnson ratted everybody out on the presence of anabolic steroids in sports, which had been going on for 30 years prior to that. And
they've been talking about testing for it before then, but that really got everybody's attention, I think.
Oh, I remember that very clearly. If you remember the way the news media treated that, the assumption by the news media was that anybody who was taking anabolic steroids could beat Carl Lewis in 100 meters. Yeah. Anyway, all you had to do was take Dianabol, and you could beat Carl Lewis. And everybody just swallowed that. It's amazing.
Yeah, and Carl Lewis is on steroids, too.
Do you remember in weightlifting, the Bulgarians?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Blagojevich and all those guys on that team in the 88 Olympics.
They pulled out. halfway through because all their lighter weight guys got positive for a diuretic.
Yeah.
And prior to that, they used diuretics to mask anabolic steroids in the urine test.
Right.
And they didn't know that the diuretics were being tested.
Right.
And if you were taking those, it would disqualify you. So in the middle of the Olympics, I think it was after the middleweights or maybe the lightweights even, they just went home. So none of their heavier lifting could be competed because they knew what was going to happen.
Well,
So
they were taking
that's-
Lasix to dilute the urine to the point where they had to make weight. That was the time-honored role of Lasix in sports, is to make weights in weight class sports. And I do remember that. That was an interesting. The Bulgarian coach goes, "Hang on, wait, they're testing for Lasix too." Oh,
yeah.
Shit. Oh shit, we just screwed this up real bad. We got.
You really need to either see your doctor about these sleep problems you have VG or B save up on those energy drinks.
Dude, why would I ever go to a doctor for sleep issues? Like, they're gonna help. And I don't really have sleep issues, dude. I've been sleeping fine. It's just that I needed more sleep today, just because I needed more rest. Thanks for the donation, though, Dodo. What's this? Oh my goodness. Is this a cat? I think this might be a cat. Oh my goodness. Oh. Get out of there. What are you doing? Oh. The cat decided to sit on me.
You got to get out of here. So they just withdrew. Yeah.
Well, our Congress got involved following that, of
Well,
course.
of course, it's just too delicious to leave it alone.
They were going to eliminate cheating with anabolic steroids and get it out of the sport and out of the schools. And the idea was to make anabolic steroids a controlled substance with harsher penalties for using it and selling it, making it more difficult to get. And that way they could do something good for the children. And that's what happened.
Oh, yes.
You know,
Anabolic
interestingly
steroids
enough-
treated the same way they treated opiate and analgesics.
Yeah, it's a
Dianabol
Schedule
is a Schedule III drug, when under no circumstances should it have been a Schedule III drug. It doesn't do anything even remotely similar to any of the other Schedule III drugs. Yet, politics, as usual, trumped intelligence and the truth. The truth is a scarce commodity these days, and yeah, it started back then, didn't it?
Yep. And interestingly enough, at that time, the DEA, the FDA, the AMA, National Institute for Drug Abuse, all had representatives involved, and they all said, don't make anabolic steroids scheduled controlled substances. But Congress went ahead and did it anyway.
Yeah.
Well, they're after votes.
Yeah.
So this is something that might look good back home.
The wonderful Senator John McCain was right in the middle of that, wasn't he? I remember
He
that
was.
pompous asshole sitting on that committee where they dragged Barry Bonds in front of him and just whipped him like a mule over this shit. It was just amazing. That was not associated with the Olympics thing, but
Joe Biden was a major sponsor of that bill at that time, too. I know.
Yeah, Joe Biden's a fucking faggot. Yeah, I got a blood test. I posted it on Instagram.
that's shocking. Who would have thought that would be the case? I wonder if Bo has ever taken steroids.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Well, you know what happens with supply and demand and market principles.
Hey VG, does a vegan diet protects you against steroids side effects? Also, is Anavar a good beginner cycle?
So, a vegan diet will help keep your blood pressure lower, insulin sensitivity higher, and have beneficial effects on your lipid parameters and markers of oxidative stress and inflammation, which are all things that can be impacted by steroids. So, I would say, yeah, in all likelihood. And I wouldn't recommend anybody take Anavar unless you're a competitive bodybuilder. Anavar would be a perfect steroid if it wasn't liver and kidney toxic. It is toxic to your liver and kidneys. So if you're taking, if you're a man and you're taking what is generally considered a reasonable efficacious dose of about 20 milligrams per day, you're, after about like 8 weeks, maybe if you're lucky, you know, you could get up to like 16 weeks, your HDL cholesterol is going to be like single digits. Your liver enzymes are going to be elevated. It's going to look like you're an alcoholic or something. It's not good for you. So Anavar works really well. It's great for strength. It does put on a decent amount of muscle mass, makes you feel good, gives you more energy. Seems to have some fat burning benefits. Women really like it because it's not androgenic. Like, it is androgenic, but it has a very low amount of androgenic side effects. Doesn't aromatize, doesn't 5-alpha reduce because it's already a 5-alpha reduced compound. So it would pretty much be a perfect steroid if it wasn't liver toxic, and for whatever reason, nobody's tried to make a injectable version of it. But you can only take it, like most people can only really tolerate it for about like 8 to 16 weeks at most, until your blood markers, like for your liver health, just start going to shit. So what's the point? You could, like, if you want more anabolism, you can just take more of a safe drug. So you could take more testosterone, you could take more primobolan, you could take more masteron, you could take more boldenone. Boldenone's fairly safe. Different people tolerate it a little bit differently, but it's fairly safe. So what's the point of taking an oral steroid that's going to fuck up your liver and you can only run it for like 8 weeks? It's just kind of stupid. Thanks for the donation, though, Liver King Natty. Retard donate $2. Thanks for the donation, retard. Appreciate it.
Do you know what retatrutide is? If so, do you have any opinion on it?
Yes, I know what it is. That's part of the reason why I take it. It's a GLP-1 agonist. It works via 3 different mechanisms. So the benefit of retatrutide over something like semaglutide is that it works via 3 mechanisms rather than just 1 or 2. It seems to promote the most amount of fat loss out of any of the current GLP-1 agonists. And it has some health benefits that are better than other GLP-1 agonists. And that's partly due to its glucagon activity. It stabilizes your blood glucose better than other GLP-1 agonists, so it doesn't let your blood glucose go too high, and it doesn't let it go too low. It promotes your liver burning off stored glycogen. So if you're not eating much, you'll be able to maintain energy, and due to its effects on liver glycogen, it helps to treat fatty liver disease and get rid of fat from your liver. It also helps get rid of other visceral fat. It's better for promoting insulin sensitivity. And again, it seems to cause more fat loss than other GLP-1 agonists. It hasn't passed human trials yet. I'm assuming it will. I'd be extremely shocked if it didn't. It basically comes with the same risks as other GLP-1 agonists. The only difference is it does seem to elevate heart rate more than some others, but that can be individual. Some people don't notice it, some people do. Everyone responds differently to different drugs. When I first started taking it, I definitely noticed it had an effect on my heart rate. I'd feel my heart racing, but after a few weeks that went away. The starting efficacious dose is 2 milligrams. Well, I should say the starting dose in clinical trials is 2 milligrams per week. You can run it lower than that and still get the benefits. That's just the starting dose in research. For me personally, I can't run it at 2 milligrams. It is too strong of an appetite suppressant where I can barely eat anything, and it does make me a little nauseous after injecting. So I run it at 1 milligram per week, and I split it into 0.5 milligram doses twice a week. And the main reason I'm taking it is just for glucose control. I have a massive tendency to go hypoglycemic, and it just helps me maintain more stable blood glucose levels so that I just have better energy throughout the day. So that's what Reditrutide is. Thanks for the donation. I love vegan gains.
Why the fuck would anyone train here? Who wants to deal with this ghetto-ass nigger screaming at them for hitting a warm-up set?
It was literally a warm-up set. Dude, you just have to be a retard to go to this gym. Like, only a retard would train here. Yeah. That is, you know, social media fitness. Thanks for the donation, though, nigga.
I want to start a cycle, but I am a midget, and seeing Mike Israetel physique, it scares me. He looks horrible.
Well, Mike Israetel eats like a complete retard. He has one of the most horrible diets I've ever seen in my life. He can't control his calories, and he takes way too much steroids for absolutely no reason. And he takes dangerous compounds that he doesn't need and can't tolerate. So just because you see some idiot who doesn't know how to eat, doesn't know how to train, and takes dangerous drugs they don't need at too high of a dose that they can't tolerate, that doesn't mean if you do steroids, you're going to be like them. Thanks for the donation, though, Liver King Natty.
Thanks for the stuff about Rita. I'm also on it and lost 30-ish pounds in a couple of months. I'm doing the 2 milligrams, greater than 4 milligrams, greater than 8 milligrams, greater than 12 milligrams, 4 weeks each dose protocol, and just took my last 4 milligrams injection last week. Is there any place we can find your old videos?
If you go to LBRY, my old videos are posted there. So on Odyssey, you just look up Odyssey streaming or whatever, it's basically like YouTube, only it works on some like stupid blockchain system. My old videos are posted there. The way you scheduled your dosing, by the way, doesn't really make any sense at all. It takes about 4 weeks for the current dose you're on to actually saturate in your system and achieve maximum efficacy. So you won't even start feeling the full effects of the drug until 4 weeks. So why would you escalate the dose right away at 4 weeks? So at the very least, you should wait like 5 weeks, probably like 6 or 7 or 8 before you decide to escalate the dose, because you won't even know exactly how that dose is going to affect you until at least 4 weeks later. So you should just hold it there, see how things go for a couple weeks at least, and if you feel like you need more appetite suppression, then escalate the dose. Once it's reached that saturation point and you've given it a couple weeks to actually see what it's doing. So I would only recommend considering upping the dose like after 6 weeks, because at that 4-week point, that's when you actually start noticing the full effect. And then if you have 2 weeks, well, then you have 2 weeks where you know the drug's reached maximum, effectiveness. And then you can consider upping the dose. So I wouldn't just arbitrarily up the dose every 4 weeks. 12 milligrams is also an extremely high dose. That's the maximum that's being used in research. And it's not like a cheap drug. It's not ridiculously expensive, but it's also not cheap. So if you can just manage to only use 2 or 4 milligrams and maybe just use a little bit of willpower, that would be better for your wallet, certainly, than just running 12 milligrams. But thanks for the donation. I love vegan gains. Appreciate it. Dr. Berg donated $3.
The best meal to clean out your liver fat, starting with
Oh, hey, Raffaello, what's up?
number 1, choline. Choline prevents the formation of liver fat, and one of the best sources of...
What he's saying is not true. So if you take somebody's choline concentration in their serum to 0, make them choline deficient, that will cause a buildup of liver fat. No one knows how much choline you need to actually prevent liver fat accumulation. We know it's 0. There's no indication whatsoever that if you have normal choline levels, going above that amount by eating like 20 eggs per day, that there's no indication whatsoever that that would in any way prevent the accumulation of liver fat.
choline is egg yolk. The next nutrient on the list is omega-3 fatty acids. You can get that from sardines or salmon. Omega-3 fatty acids help reduce fat on your liver. The next
They do not.
one on the list is the polyphenols in coffee. Coffee has been known to reduce fat on your liver and also
That might be true.
prevent scar tissue of the liver. I would highly recommend doing organic
I don't know if the scar tissue claim is even remotely accurate.
coffee. The next key nutrient for the liver is vitamin E. There's some great research to show how vitamin E prevents a fatty liver as well as
Pretty sure it doesn't.
cirrhosis. What's interesting is the food that has the most vitamin E is actually canned tomato puree. You can get vitamin E in sunflower seeds, leafy greens, spinach, almonds, and red pepper. And the last thing with your meal is green tea.
Well, at least those foods are healthy for you.
Green tea has the phytonutrient to help remove fat from the liver. If you take a look at this meal, you'll have an egg, a little piece of salmon or sardines, a cup of coffee.
So, yeah, I mean, there's no reason to eat eggs. Thanks for the donation, Dr. Berg. Retard donate $2. Let me see. After getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine-Russia military economic situation, after seeing economic struggle it is causing in Russia, I think Ukraine, support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form. It's looking like Russia's a paper tiger. Oh, okay. It's not like anybody was telling you this all along. Oh my god. I guess that's good news. Thanks for the donation, retard.
What about Dr. Ravi for talking about your tired issues, since you know that he knows what he's talking about?
I know why I'm tired. I'm eating very little and training a lot. Thanks. I don't need a doctor to explain that to me. Thanks for the donation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anabolic steroid became a huge black market, and it just exploded.
Yeah,
The black
no
market-
one knew anything about it until all of the news media spent a solid month at 5:30 every evening on the news telling every 14-year-old kid in the United States that all you have to do is take anabolic steroids and you too can beat Carl Lewis in athletics. Now, what do you think that did? This is,
Yep. If you tell everybody you can be an amazing, jacked, lean, ripped, Olympic-level athlete by taking steroids, they're going to take steroids.
So anyway, they created this entire situation by
Yes,
doing
they
that
did.
very thing, didn't they?
Yep. And then, of course, later on, it didn't help. You may have heard of the Ryan Hyatt Act. That was, I believe, around 2008. An 18-year-old was able to get some prescription Vicodin from a doctor online, and he ended up overdosing. And that's when they established this Ryan Hyatt Act, which was focusing on the abuse of painkillers and opioids and trying to keep those, out of the hands of patients that might do something and harm themselves.
Mm-hmm.
There was also a high school football player in Texas, no less. You guys take football pretty seriously down there, don't you?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. He, of course, wanted to put on some body weight for his senior year and get his bench press over 300 pounds. And he started taking anabolic steroids and did very well. The problem was when he stopped using them, things kind of crashed. And that'd be hard to handle as a teenager. Nobody wants to get weaker and lose muscle. And he had some real problems and wound up committing suicide.
Right.
And his parents got involved. And
of course,
that's
they
when-
had no culpability at all in this. No. It was just
Yeah.
it was just deniable. Right.
Well, I think you always look to blame something when something bad happens, and
Sure.
it's tough. And they blame the steroids for him killing himself.
Right.
But nonetheless, it got us to where we are now with the Controlled Substance Act that we have that involves our testosterone and other anabolic steroids.
The amount of men who have killed themselves with alcohol is just astronomical. I can guarantee you, like, probably the majority of suicides, like people who've actually, like, taken a gun to their head, blown their brains out, I can guarantee you the majority of people who are in that situation had an alcohol issue or drank a sip of whiskey before they did it. Why isn't alcohol banned for the same reason? Like, it's just, society's just stupid.
This song goes insanely hard. Listen to the first 45 seconds. If you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you, you're wrong.
Do you want my stream to get taken down and get copyrighted? I'm not listening to 45 seconds of the fucking song. Great. It's just trash. Thanks for the donation, nigga.
Steroids.
Well, let's stop right there just a second. Let's explain the difference, because there's a profound difference between testosterone, whether it is the cypionate salt, propionate, enanthate, any of those salts of testosterone, and what is technically referred to as an anabolic steroid. They're different things. Explain that for us.
Since your blood tests seem good, are you going to up your dosage? Yeah. I'm going to be adding in boldenone and upping the test dose.
Yeah. When you and I talk about anabolic steroids, we think of Dianabol and Winstrol and Anavar, and Mestrolone, and Tremble. I mean, there's dozens of them.
Right.
Those are synthetic derivatives of testosterone. The molecules are a whole lot different, but they're different.
They're different in that they can be taken orally, whereas testosterone cannot be taken orally.
Correct. And that's one of the differences.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, testosterone is an anabolic steroid, but it's a natural hormone that we produce within our own bodies. We are actually supposed to have it. And I think part of the problem with the way testosterone is looked at by mainstream medicine, if you will, is we know that the synthetic anabolic steroids have some downsides. They can be hard on your...
I said boldenone, not bolderone. It's basically injectable Dianabol. It's almost molecularly identical. Has a similar effect as primobolan or methanolone. Basically, it has low aromatase conversion, and some of the substances that get broken down through the aromatization process actually act as an aromatase inhibitor. So it lets you increase the test dose, and it's also really good for collagen synthesis. So I want to make my joints and connective tissue stronger. So that's the main reason why I'm adding in boldenone, just to really strengthen my like connective tissue, ligaments, tendons, so I just don't snap my shit up.
Your liver, your kidneys, your lipids, they can raise your cholesterol, lower your HDL cholesterol. So therefore, anabolic steroids are not healthy. Testosterone, being an anabolic steroid, is guilty by association.
Right.
And they throw testosterone in the same bucket, when in fact the opposite is true.
Yes. I had a thing I printed out here someplace. It's laying around on the floor someplace. The DEA is actively conflating testosterone supplementation, TRT, with the use of anabolic steroids. I have 2 pieces of paper in here that describe anabolic steroids. And in the same...
Is Gum Gum more sentient than Joey? I'm not sure.
...breath, with the same very broad brush...
Given your mental health journey, how much you've learned about yourself, how you've changed, etc., would you say you're on the whole happier than you were 10 years ago? If so, what things do you think helped most? If not, why do you think not?
Yes, obviously. I cured my depression. So, yeah. Curing your depression is going to make you happier. Thanks for the donation, though. I love vegan gains. Blaha News reporter donate $2 new Blaha documentary.
Adding to years of rumors about Jason's mistreatment of animals.
I mean, none of this is new. We really don't need another one of these, so, like, I know the whole story. I'm not going to bother reacting. Thanks for the donation, though, Blaha News reporter. Carnitar donated $2. Let me see.
Well, let me tell you about the time I cheated on the carnivore diet. And
first, effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of well, let's see how we say that.
Acetaminophen.
Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol. During pregnancy can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. So taking Tylenol is not good. All right. I'll say it. It's not good. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary. That's, for instance, in cases of extremely high fever, that you feel you can't tough it out, you can't do it. I guess there's that. It's a small number of cases, I think. But if you can't tough it out, if you can't do it,
it is crazy to me that somebody this stupid can end up becoming the American president. It just shows you, if you were born to the right family and were born rich enough, anything is possible. And thanks for the donation, Carnitard.
Nigga, where the fuck were you today? Check out this video. You can skip till the middle where the former NATO commander starts speaking and watch the rest from there.
Okay, we'll react to that in a bit. Thanks for the donation, 21st.
This is insane.
Yeah, it is. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. And I just had to sleep. I had to sleep today. Thanks for the donation, 21st.
And holy cow, did it mess me up. Now, this is something actually fairly recently. So I was in Europe with my family, and we were in the south of France, and then we went to Portugal, and we came back through Paris. And all that time, I had stayed pretty consistent with a carnivore diet, although, you know, I kind of had to shift more towards more dairy products, more eggs, and less beef, which I typically eat. You know, and I have been eating for basically the last 9 years. You know, I started this diet back in 2016, so it's, you know, late 2025 here. And over those years, I have consumed meat, beef every single day, essentially. There have been periods of time up to 2 years where that's the only thing I ate, literally only beef. And, you know, but over the years, I'd kind of brought in, you know, from time to time, like I said, some dairy products, some eggs, some seafood, and then every once in a while, something off, you know, just totally off plan. That's been my consistency over the years, and generally have done pretty well with that. But, you know, on this trip, we sort of deviated a little bit, just for a brief period of time, and the consequences were not good at all. You know, we were staying in Paris, and, you know, we were staying near the Seine, the river that goes through Paris, and checking out the sights. And, you know, family was eating in a few restaurants, and I said, well, you know what the heck, I'll just eat whatever. I'm not going to pay for all this expensive food and not consume it, because that's just the way it is, and it's kind of harder in a foreign country. You know, when you're traveling, it's always a little bit more of a challenge. But so I decided, well, I'll just eat the regular food that comes on the menu. And not like I was eating a bunch of junk food. It was just kind of normal food that people would eat. So, you know, if it was steak frites, you know, then I would eat the frites, you know, basically the potatoes that come with that, and a few other odds and end things. You know, and I was consuming quite a bit more dairy than I'm used to doing. And one of the things I noticed, well, obviously, you know, when traveling, sleep is a little jacked up, and it just is due to the time zone difference, due to sleeping in different beds and, you know, different schedules. But I just want to say there's a little rash. It's kind of unusual. I don't usually have stuff like that. So that was, you know, one of the things. But the real problem was, and this was significant. This was not a minor thing. This was a real, almost like a medical emergency for me. I was really concerned about this. We had one more day left, and then we're going to get on the plane the following day. So about 36 hours before leaving, I developed the worst case of constipation I've ever had in my life. I'm not talking about a little bit. I'm not talking about some minor inconvenience, a little straining on the toilet. This was so severe that I had visions and seriously considered I'd have to go to the ER to get disimpacted. I mean, this is something as medical students, there was sometimes.
This guy is saying he nearly died from eating French fries. Like, I mean, give me a fucking break, dude. If you're that sensitive, like, there's something wrong with you, like you're not in good health. If eating just some fried potatoes will cause a medical emergency, you're doing something wrong. I think he's just, you know, a bitch. Dodo $2 VG Silent Hill F releases tomorrow, technically on the 25th. Make sure you play it immediately also.
Why do we really need one?
I've had a pretty large company even before I met you. So if we get married and then you decide to divorce me next year, then you leave with half of it, that's not fair.
But why are you already thinking about that?
Babe, it's something I have to think about. I don't know why Danny's so surprised.
If you ever... First of all, don't ever get married. If you're ever with a chick where if you bring up prenup and she reacts that way, dump her immediately. Don't even consider continuing the relationship. She clearly wants to steal your shit. Meanwhile, in Dearborn, Michigan, America must fall. City is already 55% Muslim.
Achieved the victory. We haven't done anywhere near enough. And the people here, I promise you, we do feel ashamed. We do feel like we're not doing enough. We do feel like change needs to come, because change must come. And in the form that it must come is that this empire, the American empire that's been hurting our people since the beginning, the imperial Western powers that have been hurting our people since the beginning, they must fall. And inshallah...
Yeah, deport these fuckers. Shouldn't even be in the country. Dude, Dearborn, Michigan is like the most insane situation. Like, they should all be fucking deported. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Times threatened us going in there and manually disimpacting people with impacted bowels. We have to kind of dig the poop out of people, which is pretty disgusting if you think about it. So I get in there and we get back from the evening and I was like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. So if I go to the bathroom, constipation. So I'm like, whoa, nothing's coming out. And I will tell you, in the near decade-long time that I've been on a car, I've never been constipated. It's not an issue. My bowel habits are completely fine. No issues with that whatsoever. It's fine. There's no issues whatsoever. But this was something, that started, I'm on the toilet. 10 minutes go by, nothing happens, 20 minutes goes by. And then over a period of almost 3 hours of trying, my wife was asleep and nothing's coming out. I'm miserable.
Ah, crap.
Let me tell you,
He looks so unhealthy, can't even pinpoint it. Many Americans look like that, all broad and a bit red, ill-proportioned. Well, most Americans look like shit. So, yeah. Americans also tend to just be a bit uglier, honestly. If you look at all the, big Hollywood actors right now, a lot of them aren't even American. Like Henry Cavill, I think he's from the UK. Hugh Jackman, Australia. Chris Hemsworth, Australia. Christian Bale, I think that's Australia again. You do have Brad Pitt, but a lot of them aren't even American. I've been to the States, it's just kind of an ugly country. A lot of that probably has to do with obesity. I'm sure, a lot of people look better if they weren't, fat, but... Dodo, donate $2, did you hear me, VG? Yeah. That game's probably gonna be garbage.
We must also recognize, we must also respect, and we must also guarantee the safety and security of Israel. Only then we can have real peace. Real peace. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum.
Well, that's nice.
I have the right to be here. I have the right to be here.
Yeah, great. I don't care.
I'm excited to announce today that every Oklahoma high school will have a Turning Point USA chapter. We have seen the outpouring from parents.
This doesn't sound like it's legal. Like that's just crazy.
Jeffrey's walking into the office for his first day ever in his 9-to-5 job. This is so exciting. I might even smash one of my co-workers. Wait, they're all ugly. They're all obese. Jeffrey sits down next to one of his obese co-workers and asks her, "How long have you worked here for?" 6 years. This is the reality for so many young men. Wake up sleep deprived, get ready, stuck in traffic, work, stuck in traffic, junk food, sleep, wake up sleep deprived, get ready, stuck in traffic, work, stuck in traffic, junk food, sleep, oh no! Isn't there anyone that can save young Jeffrey? Adonis! Adonis sits Jeffrey down and teaches him how to make money online. This is the route to freedom. He shows him all the different kinds of business models that he could do. He trains him until Jeffrey's skill is way higher than the competition. Now Jeffrey wakes up to PayPal and Stripe notifications on his phone. It was all thanks to you, Adonis. You've done it again.
Are you happy that I watched that? Are you happy now? Thanks for the donation, Dodo. Have you seen that charity scam where they claim you can offset the harm of eating meat by donating, but the numbers are bullshit? No.
The near decade-long time that I've been on a carnivore, I've never been constipated. It's not an issue. My bowel habits are completely fine. No issues with that whatsoever. It's fine. There's no issues whatsoever. But this was something, that started, I'm on the toilet, 10 minutes go by, nothing happens, 20 minutes goes by. And then over a period of almost 3 hours of trying, my wife was asleep and nothing's coming out. I'm miserable. So I finally give up and go to bed. And I wake up next morning, my wife said, hey, we're gonna go check out the Eiffel Tower and go touring around. I said, hey, I gotta stay home and deal with this. So I asked her to go to the pharmacy to pick up a few things that might help with that. So a little stool softener and a little bowel stimulant. I'm gonna try these things. So I take those and they're supposed to kick in, in about 6 hours or something like that. So I'm waiting around, hop on the toilet again a couple more times, nothing happens. So I decide that, hey, I'm just gonna go walk around because this is, we know that helps with constipation. So I walk around Paris and I'm walking around. I walk by the, Notre Dame. I go by the Louvre. I'm walking along the river and, and then I get about a mile and a half from where we're staying in a hotel and all of a sudden the medicine kicks in and it's like, oh my God, I felt like I was going to crap my pants. So I'm walking around Paris thinking I have to go to the bathroom, but still nothing's coming out, but I feel that way. I get the sensation that I'm going to, crap my pants. So I'm walking around Paris trying to get back to the hotel where I can kind of take care of business, in the privacy of my hotel room. And I make it back, and hop on the toilet and figure like, oh, great, I'm gonna get rid of this stuff. And still nothing happens. I'm pushing in, trying to poop. And it literally feels like my insides are flipping around backwards and nothing comes out. So I'm sitting.
Probiotics do not help with constipation.
There, I'm just really thinking about, oh man, do I gotta go to the ER to get disimpacted? What's gonna happen here? I decided, well, there's one other thing I can potentially do, and there's a medication called Microlax, which is basically a lubricant. It's like a rectal medicine you put up your butt. So I stick this lubricant medicine up my butt, and it's supposed to kick in about 15 minutes. And sure enough, it starts kicking in, and I start to feel that I can start to go to the bathroom, and I hop on the toilet. It takes me over a period of about 3 or 4 hours, about 3 or 4 attempts of just pushing like I'm trying to deliver a baby. And it's like I think it was like I had cement in my bowels. I mean, and I think it was because of the fiber, which I'm not used to eating. I just don't eat fiber, so all the fiber that I included, it increased in my diet, plus probably the overconsumption of fromage or the cheese. And so I'm in there, straining and
it's probably the dairy. Some people have a genetic mutation where if they consume dairy, it causes constipation.
Finally, over about a period of 3 hours and 3 or 4 times, I'm able to get a decent amount out of me to where I feel like I don't have to go to the bathroom anymore, which was a feat in itself. And so thankfully, I was like, I don't have to go to the ER at least. And so I decided, the next day I was like, I'm just not eating. So I ended up fasting for like 48 hours, on the plane back and so on and so forth and got home. And then at that point, just given a couple things, I decided, hey, I'm just going to do a complete reset, complete 100% beef diet. And I'll talk to you about how that's been going in another video here. But suffice it to say, cheating on the carnivore diet sometimes can be.
Didn't he claim all he eats is beef? So yeah, he's not following the carnivore diet. He's just full of shit. Dodo $2. I like Hamza's story times. They're funny. They're not. They're just kind of annoying and cringe. Thanks for the donation though, Dodo.
Him with Dodo for once. I think we should watch Hamza for a few hours.
No. We're not going to be doing that. Thanks for the donation, though, dumbass.
Putin actually sent a draft treaty that he wanted NATO to sign to promise no more NATO enlargement. That was what he sent us. And that was a precondition for not invade Ukraine. Of course, we didn't sign that. So he went to war to prevent NATO, more NATO close to his borders.
Flashback.
This is fundamentally not about NATO expansion.
It was never about NATO enlargement.
It's not about NATO.
It's not about NATO expanding toward Russia.
This was never about NATO.
It's absolutely nothing to do with NATO expansionism.
And it has nothing to do with NATO.
This is not about NATO.
It's not about NATO.
It's not really about NATO.
This is not about NATO.
Seriously, it's not about NATO.
This was never about NATO.
It was never about NATO. Let's be honest.
This doesn't have anything to do with NATO.
Nothing to do with NATO at all.
Yeah, he's claiming it's like security purposes, but we can see the clear reason.
But NATO is not the reason.
This is not about NATO expansion.
Okay, that's cake.
Guess what? I'm waiting the street because everything is frozen for you. One. No, I have 10 people with me. I go to the French embassy.
No. I'm sorry, President. I'm really sorry. It's just that everything's in frozen right now. There's a border gate coming late. That's why. I'm sorry.
If you don't see it, let me cross. I negotiate with you.
No, it's not that.
How are you?
All right, thanks. 21st.
This is about the democratic expansion.
Ukraine bans religious organizations.
We are protecting democracy right now.
Ukraine is banning political parties.
This is retarded propaganda. Oh my god.
Testosterone is thrown into the mix, and they're not the same thing. But because the Congress called them the same thing, even though that is not the truth, then the DEA proceeds from the assumption that what they can do is invest on top of the horrible associations with, Lyle Alzado and everybody else that anabolic steroids have, and paint TRT with that same broad brush. And that's exactly what they're doing.
So we've got this Ryan Haight Act, which, thanks to the public health emergency in 2020 due to COVID, was suspended. And there were some exceptions to the act that allowed for just that. And they opened up telemedicine.
Minestrone soup sucks. The only soup I like is like lentil soup or split pea soup or black bean soup.
And included controlled substances in it, whereas before they had not been included. That was a limited time exemption. The thinking that I had when this was beginning was that this will be permanent. The telemedicine had been going on anyway at a lower level, but it was very successful. Patients liked it, doctors.
M donated $2.
All right, let's do the sugar diet. But catch is, we're going to do it carnivore style.
This looks like a bear.
Somebody already sent
This
me
is a tool in the tool chest, as a short-term fix. Now, my long-term goal.
Yeah, somebody already sent me this. Thanks for the donation, dude.
Doctors liked it. It was very convenient, and it was working. And I thought, well, if it's okay to let this be a legal thing during a health emergency, why wouldn't it be okay just to have it? Period.
Right.
And
think of the wonderful things it does for the environment.
Yeah.
Keep people from driving to the doctor. Right. If I've got to drive to St. Louis to see you, what's my carbon footprint in a situation like that? We need to keep that in mind. That might come in handy at some point.
Well, I'm old school. I like the office visit. I'd much rather be sitting across from the table with you in Wichita Falls than doing this. But, in talking to patients over the last few years, I ask them, even local people do telemedicine.
Right.
They don't want to drive across town if they don't have to. They have to park in a parking lot, walk into a building, go up an elevator and all that. I've had guys do it while they were driving. I'm not sure that's a good idea. I've had semi-truckers driving with their phone on the dash doing the consult. Again, I don't think I'd recommend that. But
and what is the downside? Because this is the critical question here, isn't it? What is the downside of telemedicine? Is there one?
I don't know what it would be. I just don't. Well, especially with what we do, which is based on labs and symptoms, which we can communicate that even on a phone call. We don't have to do a Zoom call. But no, it's been working very well. So now with this exemption expiring, the DEA is looking at going back to what they had before. And with probably some changes. Right now, I am really not that concerned that it'll be that horrible for us, if at all. There are other, psychiatry, addiction medicine, pain management, they're going to be affected by this more than we probably would. There's a lot of people involved. The American Hospital Association, over 500 hospitals, they're against disallowing telemedicine. Kaiser, probably the largest HMO in the country, they're against disallowing it. They like it. Of course, for them, it's probably more cost effective for their utilization of the doctor's time.
Yeah, it saves them money. There's no doubt.
Yes. So we've been looking at advance, trying to get ahead of this as much as we can. And I think it's just so unpredictable that we're just going to have to wait and see. There's been a lot on the internet. There have been a record number of contacts with the DEA. My son actually got a call from our congressman today. I think getting the Congress involved would probably be the best thing we could do.
You just take the money and skip the videos? Is that how this works? I'm new here and I like to be financially dominated. Getting scammed and feeling like I wasted my sugar daddy's money really gets my pussy wet. The only way I could be wetter ID if you were Indian.
If I've already seen the video and reacted to it on stream, why would I watch it again? So yeah, sometimes people send me the same video that I already watched. Thanks for the donation, dude.
DEA is going to do what Congress tells them to do. It's like the IRS will make a law that they don't really understand. Well, not the IRS, Congress will make a law that's very clear, and they just give it to the IRS and let them figure it out.
Let them interpret it. In fact,
yes.
Dodo donated $2. All right, we can watch that. How much is left with this?
Pakistan have entered into a mutual defense pact. The agreement declares that aggression against one is...
Less is more, donate $2, react, I'm eating chips, skip to 1 minute mark on Charlie Kirk video.
Did you ever wonder if a real-life Batman suit is actually possible? Well, someone tried to make it real. It started simple. With carbon fiber, it was strong, but a bullet ripped straight through like it was nothing. So the search continued. Next came Kevlar, the same stuff used in bulletproof vests. 10 layers almost worked. 20 layers finally stopped it, but it was way too thick. No Batman could move in that. So the hunt went deeper, and this is where it got crazy. He found graphene, the wonder material stronger than steel, but so thin it feels unreal. And when tested, it took 36 bullets, even shotgun shells. Not a single one made it through, but that still wasn't enough, because Batman doesn't just stop bullets, he shrugs them off. So he added something even wilder, Nanovate, a futuristic metal so tough that just 2 millimeters can stop a bullet point blank. Now imagine all of that stacked together. Carbon fiber for shape, Kevlar for protection, graphene for insane strength, and Nanovate for the outer shell. The result? A real-life Batman armor that doesn't just look cool. It takes live fire like something straight out of Gotham. So maybe Batman isn't just
cool.
So, the Charlie Kirk situation, we have breaking news, new evidence has come to light, and I just want to preface this video by saying this computer was located, so let's jump into it.
I now have acquired proof that the FBI's official story is false, whether knowingly or unknowingly. You need to see this.
And in that video you can see the same, what appears to be the bullet coming down, and it does line up with the actual gunshot itself.
So you're not counting gang violence. Great.
Oh my god. These people are literally retarded and have absolutely no clue. You can't see a bullet in flight on a cell phone camera. It's stupid. Thanks for the donation, dude.
Is aggression against the other. When asked if this places Saudi Arabia under Pakistan's nuclear umbrella, a senior Saudi official avoided specifics, saying only that the pact covers all defensive and military means deemed necessary. Pakistani forces could now, in theory, deploy to Saudi Arabia with missile systems and a joint air defense network tied to satellites and interceptors. All of this would come on top of the nuclear umbrella that, by strategic ambiguity, now extends over the kingdom. The details, however, remain unclear, as the pact is not yet public. What is clear is that the talks had been underway for at least 2 years, and the pact comes amid growing anxiety over America's reluctance to restrain Israel, with the Qatar attack serving as the breaking point. Saudi Arabia was in many ways the poster child of a non-NATO ally. Its loss of trust in US security guarantees signals a deeper strategic shift, with profound implications for China, India, and Iran. Riyadh now seeks to move on. The defense pact with Pakistan is therefore a bid for strategic autonomy, a once-in-a-generation realignment that marks the onset of a new geopolitical reality. Alliances, after all, are not built on promises, speeches, or shared values, but on the arithmetic of hard power. Interestingly, the defense pact could be just one move in a much larger game. Shortly after its signing, Trump raised the issue of Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan, located just 120 kilometers from Pakistan's border. Given that the Saudi-Pakistani pact de facto extends a nuclear umbrella, Washington may now be exploring ways to intercept Pakistani missiles headed west. Bagram is geographically well placed for such a task. The pattern that is taking shape is difficult to ignore, and this is why today's sponsor, Ground News, is so useful. Legacy outlets tend to Bagram Air Base. Saudi Arabia and Pakistan have maintained close military ties for decades. When Islamabad carried out nuclear tests in 1998, its economy was on the brink. Foreign reserves had fallen to just $400 million against a debt of $32 billion. US sanctions put
React to this after maybe? Also, I don't know if it's just me, but I don't see Streamlabs pinned in chat.
Pretty sure it's just you. I see the Streamlabs thing pinned.
On the morning of September 10th, 2025...
I might react to that tomorrow. Like on, or later today, technically. I don't know if it's worth reacting to this now. But yeah, probably the regularly scheduled stream later today on Wednesday evening. We'll react to that. Thanks for the donation though, retard.
Pushed Pakistan toward default until Saudi money stepped in. To ease the pressure, Riyadh allowed Islamabad to buy oil on deferred payments under a 3-year plan. When the term ended, the Saudis quietly forgave much of the debt, turning the arrangement into an undeclared bailout. Generous, but certainly not an easy decision. At the time, oil prices had plummeted to around $10 a barrel. So, to aid Pakistan, Saudi Arabia was left with a massive budget deficit and was forced to take loans to cover its own expenses. That bailout, in the time of need, became the bedrock of Saudi-Pakistani relations. Prince Turki bin Faisal later captured the depth of the bond, calling it one of the closest relationships in the world between any two countries. Seen in this light, the defense pact between the two is not a sudden, alarmist move. It simply codifies decades of cooperation. The real turning point, however, is more recent. Saudi and Pakistani officials began talks on the
Dodo, $22, thanks to Trump for pushing all our allies into the hands of Islamists, China, Russia. Trump is completely useless. Yeah, pretty much. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. How's my mental health been? Good.
Military pact only a few years ago, but the Gaza war accelerated the process. For decades, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, and the UAE have been close US partners, hosting numerous American bases and relying on Washington to underwrite their security. But in the past 2 years, they have watched uneasily as the US stood by while Israel struck targets in Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, Iraq, Iran, and now even Qatar. Even though the Arab monarchies have tense, often hostile relations with Tehran, Israel's unchecked strikes have set off alarm bells. The attack on Doha, most of all, rattled the region. It reshaped how the Arab monarchies viewed their own security and America's guarantee of it. For additional context, check out our recent video on the Qatar attack, which compartmentalizes
yes, I still like my tattoo, and I might get another one.
Background into clear parts for easier understanding. Suffice it to say, none of the Arab monarchies expected Israel to strike up.
And Spec King of Plastine.
I'm gonna tell the truth, even if it comes at a significant cost to my career, Jillian, as you voiced some concern about.
Where's your proof that $150 million was offered from Bibi Netanyahu?
No, I'm referring.
Where is the proof?
Please do not get angry.
No, because I didn't want to cover this, and you guys insisted. And I told you, you cover this. I'm going to rip you apart. Where is the proof?
We're not
that
saying
Bibi
that it
Netanyahu
happened. We're really
offered
not
Charlie
saying that it
$150 million. This is not for me. I'm not interested in this.
Okay,
I love you
know.
guys.
I know.
I'm sorry.
Let's be good.
I
Let's
have
be good
zero
about precious
interest
Israel. Let the
in
country
fucking
committing a
every
genocide.
show.
Yeah.
Well, that's enough of that. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
A major non-NATO ally, especially one mediating between Hamas and Israel. The Saudis now see US security guarantees differently. It doesn't carry the same weight as before. America's inertia, combined with Israel's unrestrained operations, has heightened Saudi anxieties. The defense pact with Pakistan is the result of that. Technically, the pact is not a full treaty, but for Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, the distinction may not matter. More importantly, the bilateral defense pact has the potential to grow into something bigger. The Gulf Arab states have long seen Pakistan's military as a credible, nuclear-capable deterrent, and its conduct in the May 2025 skirmish with India only cemented that belief. More nations could now either join the existing defense pact or pursue separate bilateral defense pacts of their own. Qatar, Turkey, Egypt, Bangladesh, and the UAE stand out as the most likely contenders. Saudi Arabia's defense pact with Pakistan holds deep implications for both nations, but it also comes with a lot of gray area. Islamabad risks being drawn into Saudi Arabia's rivalries with Iran and Yemen, while Riyadh assumes a stake in Pakistan's disputes with India and Afghanistan. The Indian front is perhaps the most complex of all. Over the past decade, New Delhi has steadily strengthened its ties with Riyadh. Saudi Arabia is one of India's largest oil suppliers. Bilateral trade sits at nearly $43 billion, and in April, Prime Minister Narendra Modi made his third visit to the kingdom. Yet, at precisely the moment when Pakistan faces the threat of Indian military action, Islamabad has secured a mutual defense pact with Saudi Arabia, signed on Modi's birthday no less. So, the agreement introduces new uncertainties into future India-Pakistan dynamics, which will need to be addressed as the agreement is implemented. But for Pakistan, the pact is more than a defense arrangement. It addresses its most pressing vulnerabilities. You see, Islamabad does not need Saudi guarantees. Its military, backed by nuclear deterrence, an indigenous arms industry, and Chinese weapons, can hold its own. What it lacks, however, are two essentials: energy security and financial resilience. Armed conflict is not just about tanks, missiles, and aircraft. It is about supply lines, logistics, and the liquidity needed to keep an economy running under strain. For Pakistan, external shocks such as sanctions, energy price spikes, or sudden
Dodo, donate $2. You have to watch 8 hours of her take or Tucker. Clarston, while getting bombarded with troll donations, putting you in a bad mood. Which would you choose? You have to pick one. Troll donations putting me in a bad mood. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
financial cutoffs have long capped its ability to sustain a prolonged war. India had counted on this vulnerability, hoping to drain Pakistan's resources through drawn-out skirmishes. But with Saudi oil and financial backing now secured, the cap on Pakistan's endurance has been lifted. Pakistan will now be able to expand its arsenal beyond what its own economy could sustain and scale up its arms industry while doing so. To be clear, the pact is unlikely to fully deter India from striking Pakistan. But with support from three key powers, China, Turkey, and now Saudi Arabia, Islamabad is in a good place. For the first time, it can pair Chinese weapons with Saudi oil and money, giving it a warfighting capacity it has never had before. Meanwhile, for Saudi Arabia, the pact is just as valuable. Saudi lawmakers had initially sought a defense treaty with the United States, along with US cooperation on a civilian nuclear program of its own. But the White House turned down the request and insisted that any deal would first require Saudi Arabia to normalize relations with Israel. Tensions escalated after the Hamas attack on October 7th, which set off the Gaza war and a wider regional conflict. Riyadh grew increasingly outraged by Israel's campaign in Gaza and by the conduct of Netanyahu and his far-right allies. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman went as far as to accuse Israel of committing genocide, making it clear that normalization was off the table unless Netanyahu ends the war and takes steps toward establishing a Palestinian state. At the same time, the Saudis kept close ties with the Trump administration. They pledged more than $600 billion in US investments and hosted Trump in Riyadh during his Gulf tour in May. The hope was to nudge the White House toward compromise on the defense treaty. However, the negotiations that followed came to nothing. Saudi officials now acknowledge that a defense treaty with Washington is not going to happen unless they first normalize relations with Israel, something they have made clear they will not do. And so, for Saudi Arabia, the pact with Pakistan doubles as a signal to Washington and Tel Aviv that the kingdom can chart its own security. And frankly, it has to. Saudi Arabia sits at the intersection of global trade, energy infrastructure, and regional conflicts. These are all liabilities that cut to its very survival. But by tying its defense to Pakistan, a nuclear-armed state with experience in both conventional and unconventional warfare, Riyadh gains an ally that can act without Washington's oversight. The pact is, at once, a hedge against an Israeli strike on Saudi soil and as an insurance against American unpredictability. Perhaps most importantly, the pact extends Pakistan's nuclear umbrella over Saudi Arabia. Even if not spelled out in the agreement, the strategic ambiguity of Pakistani nukes factoring into Saudi security is deterrent enough. And so, by signing the defense pact, Saudi Arabia has de facto gained a nuclear umbrella without breaching non-proliferation norms, while Pakistan has landed the strongest bankroller in the Middle East without the fiscal strings of the IMF. Nevertheless, some lines remain firmly in place. Saudi Arabia remains and will continue to be primarily dependent on the US for security. For now, this is hedging, not decoupling. I've been your host Shivan from Caspian Report. If you approve of what we do, please...
Okay, so they're just kind of worried about US and Israel possibly becoming hostile.
Yeah, and DA is going to interpret the laws, but the Congress ultimately has a lot of control over this. And nothing's been finalized yet. They're just looking at options, and we'll just have to see how it plays out. I think a possibility is that testosterone will be unscheduled, or at least downgraded from where it is now.
Right.
And ironically, I don't know if you know this, because we didn't get to talk beforehand, the trans women are not very happy with testosterone.
I'm sure that's true.
They've
got more political clout than we do. I mean, anything they say goes right now.
Yes. They want easy access to testosterone. 2 senators, I think a guy named Harker, I'm not sure, I think maybe Massachusetts, and Elizabeth Warren have written letters to Joe Biden requesting that they unschedule testosterone.
Are you serious? Elizabeth Warren did something useful? This is extremely difficult to believe.
Dude, that's so ironic. Fucking trans men are helping the lifting community. Like, you got a guy who's a Republican, who's like a Trump supporter and all this shit, who like denies climate change and, you know, all that other fucking crazy nonsense. And then he's glad that trans people exist because they might actually be able to make testosterone more accessible. Oh, that's funny.
Wouldn't it be ironic if testosterone was easier for men to get because women wanted it?
Because Elizabeth Warren wanted it.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But if they could separate testosterone from opioids, that's really the thing.
It should never have been in the same sentence anyway, obviously. But if this is what it takes to reschedule testosterone, then fine, let's do that. So what is the state of the law right now? Is the telemedicine was permitted back in 2020 as a way to cope with the pandemic and to keep people from having to go to the doctor's office to be seen by a physician, and as a way to get prescriptions over the phone so the deadly pandemic wouldn't be transmitted from one person to another in the doctor's office, right? So was there a statute passed that permitted that? And does that statute sunset? Is that what the situation is right now?
Yes, that's what's happened is the exemption is expiring, and that's where we are today.
When does it expire?
I don't know the date. I think maybe May 15th. I'm not sure.
It's later this year, right?
It's going to be later. There'll be a 6-month extension for whatever they're going to wind up doing. So let's say they just flat out say testosterone is illegal. You can't ever use it again. That's not going to happen. But you'd have a 6-month extension for patients to figure out something else. And we're pretty confident that we'll find a way that we can continue. It may involve different things. Maybe you'll have to be seen once in person, but that would be it. We've had that before COVID. Guys would fly in the morning, be seen in the office, fly back in the afternoon. And you don't have to go every 30 days to visit the doctor. That's one of the things that's floating around out there. A lot of people are talking about it, and some of what's going on is not accurate. You know how rumors are.
Oh, yeah.
And my take is, something's going to happen. It may be really good for us. I don't think it's going to be horrible, but we're going to have to wait and see. You know what? I could be wrong.
Well,
it's very unpredictable. You know that the real estate lobby is against telemedicine.
Well, now let me think about that a minute. That kind of does make sense. The less real estate that has to be used for first one thing than another is bad for the real estate lobby. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You know,
We
all the
have a
convoluted shit.
we have an office building. Well, we're in a large medical building, and we have an office in there.
Mr. Krabs, clanking legs, $20. What do you think of these thick-ass goats? Yeah, goats have butts. I think those are... Oh, yeah, those are goats. Yeah, thanks for the donation, Mr. Krabs.
We went in there once last year to see a guy that drove in from Louisiana because we didn't have anybody, a doctor that could cover Louisiana for us. This guy drove in and was seen in person. That's the only time we went in the office. We're still paying rent, but a lot of these telemedicine practices don't have offices. It's all virtual.
Wow.
So we at least have a brick and mortar office, and there's speculation that may be a requirement somewhere down the road. Who knows?
Yeah.
But a lot of people get into this, and I think if I'm the government and the real estate lobby is involved, like, what do you care about guys being on testosterone and controlled substance? Well, they want a whole bunch of doctors that are renting office space.
Sure they do. Yeah, and it's
So
crystal clear since you mention it like that. It's obvious why the real estate lobby, and those guys got a lot of money, and they can grease a lot of palms.
Yep.
So, how many men across the country do you think right now are on TRT? This is an important question, and the only numbers we came up with was somewhere between 3 and 5 million.
I would be surprised if it was even more.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on underground.
No, we never have. That's why it's underground.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but when I'm walking around going to Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever, and
it's great living in Canada where none of this is illegal. I can just take shit and not have to worry.
I do this for a living, so I kind of look at people and I try to guess what they're taking.
Yeah.
kind of creepy, but you make eye contact with another guy who's in his 60s, and he's got good posture, he's got some bulk to his body, he's not frail,
right.
And I'm 225 pounds. I don't look like Mr. Universe, but I don't look like a frail old man.
You're not a little old man.
We make eye contact and kind of, I know what you're doing, and I know what you're doing too, and good for you.
Right.
There's a lot of guys out there like that.
Right. There certainly are. I walk around and I'm in stores all the time. I do exactly the same thing. I look at who's in there and I look at their physical presence and their demeanor. And, there are guys that are standing up straight that are obviously my age. And my default assumption with these guys are standing up straight. They got some upper body mass.
Dodo, $22, late night VG stream tradition. I think I'd choose 6. Oh. I'd choose the dragon fruit sink because it's the largest one. It's a cookie cat. Water cat. Oh my goodness. Croissant cat. Soil cat. Marshmallow cat. Snow cat. I'd choose the cookie cat. Say that's real. I think that one's real. I think that one's real. Huh. I'd say that one's real. Yeah, not too bad. Probably choose 5. Alright, thanks for the donation, Dodo. Dodo, don't you tell us VG I spent almost $30 for a vegan pizza earlier, a personal-sized pizza without cheese and some vegetable toppings. Almost $30, thanks Trump. Yeah, he's not bringing down pizza prices like he promised. Thanks for the donation, though, Dodo.
Your mental health may have improved, but you seem angry and more easily annoyed lately.
No. I think people are assuming that and their perception is skewed because they know I'm on steroids, but no. I'm not more easily annoyed. I think people just have a misperception because they know I'm on steroids, and then every time I get angry or something, they notice it more because steroids, but I'm not more angry and more easily annoyed. Thanks for the donation, though, Alan.
You can kind of tell they've got traps. You know, you see the characteristic male profile, and my assumption is, well, he's doing some tests. Good for him. Good for him. He feels better. He's more effective during the day. His health is better. He sleeps better. He has better relationships with everybody he knows as a result of his normalized testosterone levels.
Let's not make this just about the guys. 40% of our practice is women.
Yes.
And you look at women, and I can tell that they might be 60 years old. You can tell they're older, but woman's got some muscle on her. She's moving pretty well. She looks very good. And we see a lot of starting strength women, and the stories I hear of the effect this has had on their health.
It's profound.
Really, this comes back to health if we really think about it. And almost miraculous things have happened because they started squatting.
Right.
And what they tell me, what it's done for them, they get on hormones, they have some of their youth back, and they're putting on some muscle, and they're losing fat. Oh my God, what's wrong with that?
One of those profound effects of testosterone on women is their sexual health. It's impossible to overstate the effects that testosterone has on women in terms of their sexual health. It is amazing what it does. And here's another aspect of testosterone replacement therapy.
Lol, you didn't film a workout today 'cause it was leg day. Can you show off your chicken legs on Instagram more often? Also, why is Insta PFP a fat obese VG from when you were depressed and obese? Change your PFP.
I didn't train legs today. It was a rest day, stupid. Thanks for the donation, though, CDG.
That is really underappreciated by most medical professionals, and that is its effect on depression. I've got a lot of friends, a lot of people I know that I have actively encouraged to get onto testosterone replacement therapy. And one of my better friends was talking to me 3 or 4 years ago. He was talking to me about all kind of depressing things, how shitty he felt, and he'd had gastric reflux issues for decades. He was in pain all the time, but he was just absolutely damn near suicidal. He was damn near suicidal. And he came into my office one Saturday afternoon, I guess is when it was. And he said, I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you. And he sat down in the chair and starts going on and on about, this I just can't take this anymore. And it's just, if things get much worse, would you kill me?
No.
And I said, oh my God. All right, here's what's going to happen. You're going to have your ass up here tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock. And I'm going to give you some testosterone out of my prescription. Well, what's that going to do? I said, I don't care what you think. I'm not going to answer any more questions. I'm not going to discuss this with you. If you ever want to speak to me again, you're going to have your ass up here at 6 o'clock. So he, took me seriously, and he showed up at 6 o'clock, and I put 400 milligrams of testosterone in his ass. And he complained about how the shot hurt. And I said, is there any better indication that your testosterone is low that you're complaining to me about a fucking injection? Get out of here.
Oh, that's hilarious. Dumbass storytellers, when doing chin-ups, is it better to use neutral grip when your palms face each other, or just stick to chin-up grip? Well, if you have a neutral grip, it's going to work a bit more of your, brachial radialis, forearms, and one of the functions of your bicep is supination, right? So when you supinate your arm, you can see your bicep curling in. So if you want to target your biceps more, then yeah, you'd want the, am I getting that right? That's supine, right? Yeah, supination. So when you supinate, supination is part of the function of the bicep. So when you're doing a chin-up with your hands supinated, you're going to activate the bicep more. Now, if you want to use more weight and maybe target your back and maybe like your forearms, brachial radialis a bit more, then you can use a neutral grip. But yeah, if you're trying to target your biceps in particular, the supinated grip is ideal. Thanks for the donation though, dumbass.
Damn right, it was a rest day. That's why her legs are skinny and look like skinny chicken legs. 'Cause her leg day equals rest day. You have 2 rest days. Leg day and rest day. Both are rest days. And did you not hear what I said? I said change obese depressed VGPFP.
That's great. I might do that if I care to. Thanks for the donation, CDG.
And I saw him again Wednesday night. He came in Wednesday night. And he walked in the door. And I could tell by the way he was moving. I could tell. And he walked in the door, and he stuck his head in the office, and he said, you were right. 72 hours. And he's been on it ever since. And it's like night and day. And it is so profoundly beneficial for so many guys. Yet, they would...
Yeah, like, it's so retarded. Why in the fuck isn't testosterone replacement considered a first-line therapy for treatment-resistant depression? Instead, they'll put you on, like, these SSRIs or something that have a mild benefit at best, and they cause sexual dysfunction, and their effectiveness reduces over time. So eventually, when you're on the drug long enough, they don't even work anymore. It's fucking stupid.
Would rather write Prozac than testosterone. And Mike, I just, this just, I mean, the gap here is so big. And I know you've had the same stories every day over and over and over again. And this is the damnedest thing about testosterone. The primary effects on men are here. And everybody wants to make it out like the testosterone is Viagra. That's not at all the situation.
Yeah. Almost every day. In fact, twice this morning.
Your Insta PFP is so fat and ugly it reminds...
Yeah, great, I don't care.
With new guys, I hear the story. They went to their GP. Their levels were low, but they were normal, within the range. You're okay. You don't need testosterone. You sound like you're depressed. I'm going to give you an antidepressant.
Right.
Damn near every day.
Every day.
If I've got 3 guys new that are men in a given day, 3 new ones, one of them's going to have that story.
Right.
There might be a day where I don't have it, but it's extremely common.
It's normal to hear that story.
They just don't want to take an antidepressant. And I'm not saying they're not necessary sometimes, but I just don't see it with these guys. When they get on testosterone, life is good again.
Yeah, and it doesn't take 6 months for life to be good.
No.
And there aren't any side effects like there are from Prozac and any of these other SSRIs. I mean, those things have profound side effects.
Yeah.
And you can't just get off of those. After you've been on them 6 months, you can't just get off of them and be normal the next day.
It's kind of scary. It scared the hell out of me.
I've actually had pretty, it's probably just a me thing, but I've had pretty good luck with just stopping those medications cold turkey. I was on an SSRI for a while, and I just stopped cold turkey, and I didn't notice anything. It didn't cause me any issues. The only antidepressant medication where I did actually get side effects from just stopping cold turkey was, I think it was an NDRI, norepinephrine dopamine reuptake inhibitor. That gave me a weird sense of vertigo whenever I'd move my eyes. So if I was looking straight forward or turning my head around while I looked, I'd be fine. But if I were to look to the corners of my vision, I'd get super, super dizzy. And that lasted for about a week or two, I'd say, until that went away. But I've had good luck where all the medications I've been on, so the SSRIs, SNRI, I was on, I think, 2 different antipsychotics. I could just stop cold turkey without any side effects, and I didn't notice anything. It's just the NDRI. When I stopped, I had that weird side effect. Oh, and there was one, I think it was the SNRI. I was on that for a while, and then I stopped taking it because it just stopped working. And for about 3 hours, the next day after I stopped taking it, I had the most insane, ridiculous, happy, euphoric feeling I've ever fucking felt. It was bizarre. I got this ridiculous uplift in mood, and it lasted for 3 straight hours. And that was the next day after I came off it, and I was like, oh my god, I wish this feeling could last forever. Cause it, I don't know, I guess some of the neurotransmitters in my brain reset or whatever, and it was a really, really bizarre feeling. It was coming fucking constantly. It was just nuts. But those were the only side effects I ever got from just coming off them cold turkey. Dodo $20. We need one of those AI where would you sleep the hardest shorts, but it would be who would you beat up the hardest, and the options are Frank, Jason, Blaha, Zoran Mamdani, Hassan. Who else? Who would you pick? Probably Penguin Zero. I guess next would be Hassan, then Mamdani, then Frank, then Jason, I guess. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
There's no circumstances under which I would subject myself to that. There aren't any circumstances. And, it's just, I've talked to a couple of psychiatrists about this, and I say, why do you guys not write testosterone for, a 55-year-old male comes into your office, and he's reporting symptoms of depression. And why don't you try the testosterone first? And what I have been told is, well, there's no evidence that testosterone, has a positive effect on depression. I said, well, what do you mean by evidence? That's a terribly important question, isn't it? What do you mean by evidence? The phenomenology is that it always has a positive effect on depression. And the fact that there is not a paper in Lancet to that effect does not mean that testosterone does not have a positive influence on depression. And we just have given up. Doctors have stopped thinking quite some time ago And I mean, I know you see this as well.
Data driven.
It's just,
according to the data.
Yes, according to the data. And who controls the data? Well, that's an interesting question, isn't it?
Well, just going through the recent health emergency, the public has learned a lot about data and statistics.
The public has learned a lot about the medical services industry over the past 3 years. The medical services industry is just another industry. And there are too many self-serving guys in this position of authority. And I mean, if you're sitting in a doctor's office with a guy on the other side of the desk that says, well, your blood came back and the reference range for testosterone is something like 870 over 210, and you are 220, so you're normal. And you don't need any testosterone.
Yeah.
And you say to yourself, well, after all, he is a doctor. I mean, at what point does it become incumbent upon the patient to do the job that his doctor is not doing?
This is another reason why there's so many underground labs selling steroids. Doctors are useless fucking idiots, and they cannot properly medicate you. That's why there's all these people in the biohacking space, all these people who are, like, ordering steroids online. Like, doctors are useless fucking idiots. They'll give you antidepressants like they're fucking Skittles, but then when it's a medication that you actually need, oh, well, you're in the reference range. The testosterone reference range is 200 to like 1,000, and you're at like 220, so that's normal. Why would I have to give you testosterone? Like, they're just fucking retarded. Like, they literally cannot do their fucking jobs. And then they're like, oh, why are people buying steroids online in the underground market? I don't understand. Oh, we need to do something about this. Fucking stupid.
That's a terribly important question, isn't it? Because, I mean, we're supposed to be good patients. We're supposed to do what we're told. Right? And, but if you've got some guy telling you to do something on the basis of a 45-second conversation he has with you in his room, and you do it anyway, even though it makes you feel like shit, how many guys are on statins because of that? They feel like shit. They all feel like absolute shit. And they keep taking them anyway because the doctor told them to take the statin. It's just, I mean, we've got a terribly dysfunctional relationship between the medical services industry and the general public at this point. It's a terribly dysfunctional relationship. And I don't know what you do.
Well, I think it's changing.
TRT indicates that it's changing. This is one of the better aspects of testosterone replacement therapy, is that I, as a patient, go to you and I say, I have heard that this might help me. This is the way I feel. These are my symptoms. And you check my blood, and those are the signs, right? Signs, symptoms, two different things, right? You check the signs, I report the symptoms. But I'm the initiator, right? I have agency in this relationship. And I have come to you, and you respond positively, and you write the prescription, and as a result, everything is better. That teaches us things, doesn't it? That teaches patients things that they should have been thinking about before. So.
Yeah, I think the word is out. A lot of testosterone practices are just very thriving and exponentially growing.
Yes.
And I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger.
Well, unless the feds step in and fuck this up. They could do it. I could see. I mean, here's my conspiratorial side coming out. Can you see the federal government being interested in more men having lower testosterone? I can.
Thought about it. I've thought about
I mean, it kind of makes you feel like Alex Jones to think about that, but by the same token, Alex Jones is right sometimes. They want a compliant electorate.
Yeah.
They want a compliant bunch of people. And the lower your testosterone, the more compliant you'll be.
Look, there's a reason why you can buy alcohol at the grocery store and nobody can stop you. They're fine with they're fine with letting you consume things that make you fat, sick, and complacent and stupid.
Now, I don't think that's a misstatement, do you?
Probably not. Hard to imagine.
It is
hard to imagine you compliant.
Well, yeah, it is. Some of us are just assholes. despite testosterone status, we're just assholes. And you know, it just bothers me that would even occur to me, that my government is interested in my hormone status.
Well, I think number one, they're interested in votes.
Yes. Yeah, they're interested in us needing them. Right.
Yeah. Well, there's the toxic masculinity culture out there. There's no doubt about that.
Well, there is the perception of toxic masculinity. I don't know how much of that is just, you know, better homes and gardens.
We're the silent majority for sure.
Yeah.
You know, you and I. Yeah, but they're more out there. They're more higher profile. We're just going about our lives.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be toxic to anybody that's not fucking with me first, you know. I've just got my own deal that I do, and I just want to be left alone. I don't want anything from them. I've never accepted a dollar from the government. I've never asked for anything from them except to leave me alone. And I'll leave everybody else alone in response. You know, that's all I want out of my day, is to be left the fuck alone. You know, I find testosterone replacement therapy to have been very, very beneficial to me for a very long time. And some clown in Washington, D.C. has decided that he wants to control that, too. He wants to control that aspect of my life, too. And I don't appreciate it. You know, the good thing about this is there's probably a lot of people that work for the DEA and that work for the FBI and all these other criminal front groups for the cabal that runs the country, who are themselves taking testosterone.
Yeah.
I don't know why they'd be any different.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Except that they want to keep it all for themselves, or they don't want to have to deal with us. I don't know. At any rate, you know,
well, depending on what they're doing, I hope they're on testosterone.
Yeah,
you know,
their judgment will be better.
Down doors, going into these cartels and some of the dangerous work that they do. I hope they're on testosterone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, interesting. But something you said earlier is terribly, terribly important, and the boys in D.C. need to keep this in mind. That for which there is a market, there will be a supply. Right?
Yes.
And like it or not, there will be a supply. And if they are thinking very clearly, they can retain a modicum of control over the supply if they deschedule the stuff and just leave us alone and let us go about our business and be healthier and happier and not depressed. You know?
I don't know if common sense enters into this.
You said they are fine with you buying things that make you sick, fat, and complacent. Slow it down, please.
All right, I'll try to keep things simpler for you. Thanks for the donation, Netanyahu.
In any way, but
oh God,
there are practices or businesses, if you will, that employ people, that pay taxes, and we have large pharmacy and lab bills that we're paying them, and they're paying taxes, and we're contributing to this economy.
Yes.
And I guess they must think you shut it down. People just find something else to do and continue paying taxes. But I don't know. This has been a positive thing. It's been working. Right now, I wish this wasn't something we were going through and having to deal with. The uncertainty is never comfortable, but we just have to kind of take a wait and see attitude.
Yeah.
I would say if you want to do anything, contact your congressperson and get them involved, and you'll get their attention and see how it plays out.
Well, that's the bottom line. You know, you guys that are watching this podcast want to do something, get on the phone. Call your senator and call your congressman. This is a federal matter. Call your senator, call your congressman, and tell them you are in favor of keeping telemedicine rules the way they are right now. Your testosterone replacement therapy has been beneficial, and you want to continue with that in a legal, constructive manner, and you're all in favor of maintaining the telemedicine regulation.
Dodo donate $2. Let me see. I think I'd choose mind control. Oh. Oh my God, look at that round chicken. Oh. Wow. I love chickens and I love cats. Heroic cat saves chicken from dog attack. Oh, poor chicken. Oh, yes. Oh, that's a good kitty. Oh my goodness. It's a bad dog, but that's a good kitty. The kitty helped. Catch. Oh my goodness. Wow. It's so cute how chickens just have these really strong maternal instincts and they just want to care for babies. It's so cool. That's a nice chicken. Wow. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Regulations with the DEA, the way they're being administered currently. And that's a problem. If everybody...
How could doctors with medical degrees be such morons, VG?
Well, they don't teach you how to actually practice medicine in medical school. They teach you to remember a bunch of useless information about chemistry and shit, and that's basically it. And they just teach you just flat out nonsense. Thanks for the donation, though, Dodo.
Watching this podcast calls their senator and their congressman. That will be very difficult for them to ignore. They actually do respond to contacts like that. They really do. So that would be my advice. Anything else, Mike, you think of?
No, I don't think so. My son and I, we've kind of kicked this around. We haven't sent out a mass mailing or anything to our patients. I think we just don't know enough information to really give them any kind of definitive answers. And of course, now the word is out, and we've had people asking us about it. We have every expectation that we're just going to continue. It may look different in some regard, but we expect we'll be able to deal with it.
Well, I hope so. I really hope so. You're doing a lot of good for a whole lot of people, and I would hate to see this get all screwed up just for politics.
Yeah.
I really would.
Interesting times, but I'm still positive about it. I do still think this is going to work out. Maybe not as quickly and as easily as you would like or I would like, but I could be way off base too. I just don't really know what to make of it. Whenever you're dealing with these people and there's money involved, a lot of money potentially, hard to tell.
Well,
It's been a...
What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. It's been a while. The last 5 weeks, was 5 weeks ago we had the Olympia, and I'm fatter than I was then. I don't feel like I'm not leaner than I was then, but I feel like I have maintained basically where I was at this point. The last 2 weeks, I've had the flu. I wish I had a code for them. Water. So pre-workout, I always throw in drink more. I've been talking about these guys for a while. I'm not sponsored by them. I wish I was. I wish I had a code for them. Drink more hydration. I'm going to squirt both of these into here. These are electrolytes, which I drink all day, every day. My half-gallon jug always has it in there. That's what I attribute my hydration to. Next, we're going to throw in some nitrox. This is Project AD. I do have a code for them. It's Chase20. Gets you 20% off at projectad.com. They also sell the Professor Nuts peanut butter, which is the fat-free peanut butter that a lot of people have been buzzing about. So you can get 20% off that peanut butter as well from projectad.com. So this is a pump product from them. And then I also use their Stampede, which is their like energy pre-workout. So this has the stimulants, the caffeine in it. Take 1 scoop of that. Let's see, that is that. Do I put
Dodo Night Tellers, if you gave Netanyahu the choice to go back and kill either Prophet Muhammad or Hitler before they could cause any harm, which do you think you would choose? And also, same question for you, who would you choose? Probably Prophet Muhammad. I think over the course of history, Islam has caused more problems. Thanks for the donation, though, Dodo.
anything else in that specifically? No. Everything else is intra. So, yeah. This is BAM 15. There's no label on it because, again, this was something that they gave me before it was on their website. This is a 50 milligram pill, BAM 15. The injectable type of pre-workouts. Today, so I haven't used any of these in a while, but I mean, we've got the Builder, we've got Max Drive, we got the ever popular Zeus Juice hanging out in here. Today I'm going to do 1 ml of the Zeus Juice along with 1 ml of Max Drive. Do I want to do this? Yeah, along with 1 ml of the Builder. These are all modern amino products. I'm not going to show you this injection on video, but I'll at least load it for you. It's a water-based injectable amino product. So we're going to do 1 ml of that. And then Max Drive is water-based. It is choline and carnitine. And then the Builder is an amino acid, like a BCAA, injectable BCAA blend. And we'll get 1 ml of that. And because they're all water-based, they will all mix together in the same syringe very nicely. But yeah, putting these 3 together, it's going to give me a shitload of taurine, a shitload of arginine, a shitload of citrulline, and all the things to help muscles recover faster. And depending on the workout that I'm going to do, that will, depend on where I would inject this. So if I was going to do a pull day, I would put this in my lats. Today we're going to do a push day. So that's going to be like chest and shoulders. I'm going to do these in my lateral delt. And I'll do this half, 1.5 mil in one side, 1.5 mil on the other side. And that's basically the way that goes. I really haven't had my SR9009 in a while.
A few months since we've said this, but we're finally...
Oh, you know what? I think I haven't read that chapter. I should just probably read it before I watch that video.
And after the Olympia contest, you always took 3 months off.
Yeah. After every Olympia, I would take 3 months off because I would beat my body up so bad to the point where it needed a break. And I said, for any amount of longevity, I'm going to have to give my body a break. And I think it really helped out a whole lot.
So you didn't hit the gym for 3 months?
I didn't go to the gym.
And did you lose some muscles?
I got a little
I guess,
small.
yeah. What was the feeling when you did the first workout after that?
So I'm lifting as light as possible. I'm really lifting lightweight for real.
For real.
Dumbbells no heavier than 70, 80. Yeah, bench press probably no heavier than 225.
Yeah.
That's the heaviest, you know. But I did like 135 for a long time. I would just do a certain number of reps until I felt like I was regaining my strength.
Yeah.
And it took about maybe a whole month and a half, almost 2 months.
Ronnie Coleman was so ridiculously fucking huge, dude. Wonder exactly what he was taking. None of the bodybuilders from that time even know what the fuck they were taking. Jay Cutler talked about this. They wouldn't be able to reliably source steroids because at that point, like, you had to get it all from drug dealers. So during contest prep, they would just take whatever they could get. And when they talk about their dosages, they all talk about, like, cc's and not grams. So they're, like, they literally don't even know how much they're even taking.
Basically burn the
Come on. Considered racist.
It's the difference between
Wish they had.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Big old booty. Alpha male. This is a trans woman that wants a big nigga's meat in her rump roast. Digesting a diet of dead animals, Shauna shouldn't be struggling this hard. Look at this weak bitch's face. In a slower, controlled fashion and not even struggling. Are she claims to be? Or is her idea of peak performance just chewing steak really fast?
mask the symptoms. Check out Rivera. We've got Doc.
Plus. You've seen Shauna lose.
This guy found a problem in his Bugatti just minutes after buying it. But when he opened the hood, what he saw exposed Bugatti completely. Let me explain. Meet Tyler Hoover, the YouTuber behind Hoovy's Garage, who bought a 2008 Bugatti Veyron from Chicago Motor Cars in 2024. But just minutes after picking up his dream hypercar, the dashboard lit up with warnings and the engine started misfiring. And when he reached out to Bugatti, the dealer demanded $4,500 before they'd even touch the car. So instead of paying, Tyler took the Veyron to his trusted mechanic, the car wizard, and together they disassembled panels that usually take hours just to reach. And what they discovered was unbelievable. The entire problem came from a tiny plastic purge valve, the exact same part found in a Volkswagen Jetta, costing less than $25. But that wasn't the end of it. Digging into the car's history, he found that a previous owner had once been told by Bugatti to replace the entire transmission at a cost of over $100,000. But in reality, the true problem was only a faulty shifter module, something that could be fixed for about just $8,000.
Yeah, that's sounds about right.
Viele haben Videos, die so zu zeigen, dass plus dann kommt relativ Compete, die alle einfach das raus. Gym gehen, deswegen wollte ich das auch mit der.
Yeah, I don't think I want to watch that just yet.
I've got great news. Ukraine has just captured some of Russia's latest, greatest military tech. This is a Ukrainian defender, and this is the first documented case of a Ukrainian soldier successfully capturing a Russian donkey. About a year ago, the Russians began using donkeys for frontline logistics because all their supply trucks keep blowing up. And this is not okay, to be using live animals in a war zone. They don't understand what is happening. But we did it. We successfully saved a donkey. This is relevant to our YouTube community because last month, we fundraised $1.1 million to save the donkeys. Now, of course, this money is going towards drones and pickup trucks, but for those of you who got a patch, I want you to know we did successfully save one Russian donkey. He will be retired somewhere in Ukraine and live out the rest of his life in peace. He no longer has to serve the Russians. So we can go to our losses for Russia board and we can now update it. We officially captured one Russian donkey. Good job, guys. Good job. But here's the real headlines. Ukraine hits Russian oil facilities in Bryansk and the Samara oblasts. Russia does not want any pictures or videos of these refineries getting out. Any Russian citizens who document anything are found by the FSB and then punished. So I do think going forward, we're going to get fewer and fewer pictures and videos of oil refinery fires. Russia's trying to keep this quiet. But something that ordinary Russians can do is complain about fuel costs. This says 96 rubles per liter, as well as empty gas stations. When the gas station doesn't have gasoline, it just puts zeros in the board.
JurianRider.com.
So these pictures are going viral on Telegram and WhatsApp and Russian social media. Here's an interesting person with a sign. This sign says oil is getting cheaper, but gasoline is getting more expensive. A paradox. It's only a paradox if you don't know and understand that all your oil refineries are currently being blown up by Ukraine. Here's an interesting news segment in which a gas station attendant was asked, "What do you think's going on?" This is this Russian gas clerk's response. Have gas prices gone up a lot? Yes, by 15 rubles, about 20% all at once. It happened over the course of about 4 shifts. And how are people reacting? Well, how can they react? Everyone's in shock. In Lori, which is about 30 kilometers from here, it's already 75 rubles per liter. Of course, people are complaining. Now, these gasoline prices might look low to people in Europe or the United States, but these are record high gasoline prices for ordinary Russians. They can't understand why this is happening. And Ukraine's not going to stop. We're going to see more gas shortages across Russia.
You're banned.
And things are going to get worse by this winter. Ukraine's drone campaign against the Russians is getting pretty devastating. Ukrainian drones struck railway substation critical for military supply in Krasnodar Krai. There is a video online of the drone strike. I'll link these down below if you want to see a rail substation get slammed with a Ukrainian drone. Drones hit FSB-linked resort complex in occupied Crimea that allegedly housed high-ranking Russian officials, 3 confirmed dead. This is some kind of resort on the coastline of Crimea. FSB or military officers were using it as a barracks. This is where this is located on the map, and this is all we have. There's no pictures or videos from the resort taken by Russians, but somebody along the beach showed a fire in the distance, so we know this resort was successfully struck. Frontline reports, Ukraine systematically dismantles Russian air defenses in coordinated campaign spanning hundreds of kilometers. This has been a real intensity going back the last month or so, and it's obvious what's happening. Ukraine is doing everything they can to target Russian air defense systems to clear the skies for Peklo and Flamingo cruise missiles. We've not seen many Peklo or Flamingo cruise missiles fired recently, but they're coming. And I think Ukraine is conducting these special operations to eliminate Russian air defense systems so their missiles will have a higher success rate. This was announced in my last video, these Mi-8 helicopters being destroyed. we're getting the FPV nighttime video of Ukraine's attacks. But this was taken by a Russian soldier, so this is the next day after the attack. And that's what's remaining of the helicopter. Whenever we see these FPV drone strikes, we don't know how bad the damage is. But there's nothing left of this helicopter. I didn't know helicopters were so flammable. So what's happening here, I think, is Ukraine has perfected these drone boat technology, where it's a drone boat. It sails from Ukraine to the coastline of Russia or Crimea. There are then FPV drones that deploy from the drone boat. So Ukraine sneaks in the cover of night, goes after helicopters, goes after air defense systems. Russia doesn't have a counter for this. First time in combat history, Ukraine destroys rare Soviet-era amphibious plane in occupied Crimea. This is the BE-12 Chaika amphibious plane. Ukraine got it, and Russia uses this for detecting submarine movements in the Black Sea. This is what this aircraft looks like, and looks pretty cool. I kind of like the design. I think planes that can take off and land in the water are pretty remarkable, but unfortunately this aircraft has now been destroyed. Similar to how they got the helicopters, Ukraine, I think, is using drone boats to launch FPVs, going after anything of value inside occupied territories. That plane is gone. Ukraine takes out Russian warehouses in Donbass, destroys tens of thousands of UAVs and ammo. This is getting intense, but Ukraine's drone production is no joke, and their drone operators are improving in their skill every single day. So warehouses and ammunition depots have also been targeted. This was a successful strike in the Krasnodar region, and we do have some pictures provided by the Russians. 14 strike drones were used in this assault. 6 transport loading vehicles of the Iskander missile type were destroyed, and a Panzer S-1 air defense system also sustained damage. So I can show you a little bit of what this military warehouse was storing, and we have confirmation based on the destroyed vehicle. Yes, this was an Iskander ballistic missile launcher. So the Russians have been using this launching vehicle to attack Ukrainian cities, and Ukraine just destroyed the launcher. According to the Institute for the Study of War, Ukraine war enters critical new phase as Russia builds strategic reserves. Russia is forming a strategic reserve and has signed contracts with nearly 292,000 new recruits, increasing pressure on Eastern.
21st Unitillers will again. The NATO chief said that Putin early in the war said he'd end the invasion and leave NATO. Stopped expanding, they refused, and here's where we are. That's not what he said. Thanks for the donation.
Ukraine. What Russia has been doing to fill their ranks is Russian men are conscripted to do their 1 year of conscription service. But when their 1 year is up, they're basically being forced to sign contracts. You either need an uncle in a high place or you need to bribe the right person to get out of signing a contract once your conscription service is up. So Russia still has plenty of troops. They still have plenty of meat. Putin himself last week said there are 700,000 Russian soldiers in the occupied territories. But my question is, what the hell are they doing? Where is the progress being made on the battlefield? The Russians have gone 5 kilometers deep in Sumy, and then they got halted. They went 5 kilometers deep in Kharkiv, and then got halted. The Russians have not taken Kupiansk, they've not taken Liman, they've not taken Konstantinivka, and they've not taken Pokrovsk. The last significant sized village or town that the Russian military took was Avdiivka, and that was like a year and a half ago. The Russian military, looking past their size and their advantage in resources, they're not making progress. The summer offensive campaign failed to take Pokrovsk. It's now mud season again, so Russia is building up their reserves or their forces for some kind of winter campaign once the mud is frozen. But I don't think they're going to have any significant breakthrough. Ukraine is doing just fine on the front lines. The situation is difficult, but the Russians aren't making progress. And this is why. Warfare has just changed. This is showing what a typical field now looks like in Ukraine, because both the Russians and the Ukrainians are using FPV drones with fiber optic cables. You can't jam them. They will hit their targets. So look at the shimmering, look at the sun gleaming off of all of these fiber optic cables through this one field.
Whoa.
To go out into no man's land is a death sentence for Russian soldiers. Ukraine knows this. They're not on the offensive. They're not attacking. They're just trying to hold what they have. But every time the Russian military sends their troops through the open fields, they're spotted by a surveillance drone and then they're slammed with an FPV drone. On the domestic front, are there any protests, any resistance? And I did see this clip. I want to share this with you. And the reason why is this is the 3-year anniversary of Russia mobilizing about 300 troops. So this was September 21st of 2021. 3 years ago, Putin said, I'm going to call up 300,000 troops to win this war fast. So this mother was told that her sons who were mobilized would be home after 6 months or a year. And that was 3 years ago. So all she did was take a sign going to the Ministry of Defense building in Moscow to say, why has it been 3 years when you promised me my sons would be home in 6 months?
Идет кто-то другой. Заберут другого пацана. У него была возможность, как начальника отдела, у него была возможность просто не пойти туда. Но он принял это решение. А мне, как матери, обещали, что через полгода максимум.
There's nothing more terrifying to a dictator than an elderly woman holding a sign.
Are you familiar with the Birdman? No.
This is just pathetic. These 4 dudes ganging up on her. They eventually do rip up her sign and then take her to the station. I'll link these clips down below if you want to see them for yourself, but I don't think we should give this woman much credit. I don't think she supports Ukraine or cares what the Russian military does. She's upset about her sons being mobilized for 3 years. That's probably the only thing she's upset with. Russian defense salaries fall in first since Ukraine invasion. Wages at Russian defense enterprises fell last month for the first time since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, even as average salaries nationwide continue to rise. This is according to a study by the exiled newspaper Novaya Gazeta Europe. What they did is they reviewed nearly 600,000 job postings from 1,200 military enterprises on a Russian job site, and they found that advertised salaries in the defense sector are down 10% this year than last year.
That's not a good sign.
Meaning
for
these
them.
defense companies are trying to cut back on costs, specifically labor. Also, that's insane that there's 600,000 job openings at 1,200 military companies.
21st only tellers low. Yes, bro, you don't know shit about the war. Putin started the war because Russian, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. That's great.
Russia has a labor shortage.
So.
The good times are over. Russian economy hits a pause. Economic growth and wages in Russia have nearly stalled, while business activity has been declining for months, according to The Economist. Oil exports have dropped from $155 billion in early 2022 to $96 billion in early 2025, not only due to sanctions, but also a stronger ruble and falling global oil prices, making borrowing more expensive. Russia's economy is cooked. We are watching the collapse happen right now. It's really slow in the beginning, and then it's sudden all at once. When there is a financial collapse or a financial panic, nobody sees it basically until the day of. So this is going to occur at some point over the next 6 months. I hope it occurs this winter. Russia has a lot of tricks to keep things going. The Chinese have publicly said they're willing to help Russia, providing these panda bonds and loan financing to Russian companies. But this is a losing formula. They are spending way too much and bringing in way too little. and this just isn't sustainable in the long term. Here's an interesting headline. Russia presses UN aviation body to ease sanctions amid safety fears. Russian airlines rely on intricate parallel import mechanisms to procure essential aircraft components, but due to sanctions, this supply strategy has led to concerns about flight safety. Russia is begging the UN to ease aviation sanctions, otherwise planes will fall. Officials admit that part of the fleets may soon be grounded. The main issue is spare parts for Boeing and Airbus. The fleet is aging, and gray schemes no longer work. This is the quote that the Russians are saying. If a Russian Boeing or Airbus plane crashes and people die, it will be because of sanctions. No, it won't be because of sanctions. It will be because you started a completely unnecessary war. You're killing people every day. And all of these planes are stolen. I remind people of this, and I think this is just like a detail that's been forgotten, but Russia didn't own any of these Aeroflot planes. They're owned by some Irish company, and then the airlines just lease them. It's cheaper for the airlines to lease planes than to buy them outright. So when the full-scale invasion began, Russia just said, we're not giving back any of these planes. We're canceling our leases, and we're stealing $2.5 billion worth of aircraft. And now the Russians are demanding, allow us to buy planes and maintenance, and in Russia willing. I don't really have stolen planes. What about Russia's frozen assets? And
VG are you for deporting anyone, regardless of race, with allegiances to another country but resides in another? Examples mostly being Jews prioritizing Israel or Muslims who think they have a divine duty to spread Islam? Wouldn't it solve 90% of problems?
That's a stupid question, dude. Thanks for the donation.
And this is disappointing. Francis Macron says seizing frozen Russian central bank assets would break international law, stressing Western nations must remain guarantors of global trust. France opposes seizing Russian assets to help defeat the Russians in this war.
Dude, why is every, country so cucked?
Here's a tweet from Gabrielis Landsberger. It's reassuring to think that when the first shots of World War III are fired, we will all be able to turn to each other and honestly say that we tried, for as long as humanly possible, to protect Russia's money.
Yeah. Dude, why is Macron such a fucking cuck?
Political news. Trump is now speaking at the UN General Assembly today. This is in New York City. I ended 7 wars. All I got from the UN was a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Trump gives the middle finger to the UN. Your countries are going to hell. Here's basically a summary of Trump's speech to the UN General Assembly. Your countries all suck. None of you know what you are doing. The US is better at everything, all because of me. I'm right about everything. You should listen to me and do what I say, and give me lots of awards. Where's my Nobel Peace Prize? Visits the United States to address the UN and have a meeting with Trump. So here is President Zelensky meeting with Trump, and I'll play the clip.
Mr. President, please. Thank you so much, Mr. President. First of all, thank you for this meeting. Thank you for your personal efforts to stop this war just now, Mr. President. And I'm happy to say that just now our first ladies of Ukraine, first ladies of the United States, yes, just now we'll have a meeting about Ukrainian children. Thank you for Melania's personal involvement to this topic. And this is very important.
Zelensky wore a suit, and he said thank you to Trump 4 times in about 20 seconds.
Yeah, he figured out how to deal with Trump. He figured it out.
That's the only thing Trump cares about. Doesn't care about people.
About a month from now, okay?
He's gonna... Here's another story. Russia's answer to Eurovision hits a flat note. Russia revives coal...
My new GF doesn't know I'm butt sexual yet. She went through my phone and found my FAP folder, I mean gaping assholes, poop, and fisting. She started crying and I confessed I only want to fuck her butt while she poops on my cock. How do I save my relations?
Who cares? You don't have to justify anything to anybody, dude. If she has a problem with your personal interests or proclivities, then she can do whatever the hell she wants. Don't try to justify yourself or like play any stupid games. If she has a problem with it, then she can take a fucking hike. Who cares what she fucking thinks? Thanks for the donation though, butt sexual. All right. I think I should probably try to just get some more sleep. Oh. With my gum-gum. Gum-gum is also tired. But yeah, I should be feeling good tomorrow. I got plenty of sleep. I ate some more food. Carved up on rice. So, should have enough energy and stuff to do a normal stream at a normal time for a normal length of time tomorrow. But, hope you all had fun. Big thanks to everybody who donated on Streamlabs. Really appreciate it. I will probably do a workout stream early in the day and then normal stream later at night. We'll hit chest, shoulders, triceps. Are there any companies that sell spaghetti with multiple sauces already combined? There might be, but I don't know why the fuck you do that. That's one of the most retarded, dumb fuck, stupid ideas imaginable. Everyone needs different doses of different drugs, so why the fuck would you take a mix of various drugs where you have no idea what each of those drugs do in your own body and what specific doses you need of each compound? So, that would just be stupid. But, nighty-night, I'll see you all later. Sweet dreams.